Hello students, we will discuss anesthesia at radiology suite, that is anesthesia for MRI. Now we will see what are the advantages of MRI. Number 1, the MRI can obtain images in any plane, that is transverse, sagittal, coronal or oblique. Second, MRI provides excellent soft tissue contrast. Third, it may provide intravascular contrast without the need for intravenous contrast media. Next, very little patient preparation is required, and MRI does not produce ionizing radiation. It is non-invasive. It does not in itself produces biological deleterious effects. These are the advantages. Now we will see the limitations and hazards of the MRI. MRI scanning has a number of limitations. The imaging is time consuming. Individual scan may take 20 minutes, with an entire examination may last for 1 hour. Any patient movement, even resulting from physiological motion, that is cardiac, vascular blood flow pulsations, CSF, pulsations, respiratory excursion and peristalsis, can produce artifacts on the images. The switching of RF generators on and off produces loud noise. This is more than 90 decibel dB. The hearing protection is mandatory for both patients and healthcare personnel who must be present in the scanning room. Then heating results from the RF energy of non-ferromagnetic prosthetic devices has not proved to be a problem. Body surfaces does not absorb the RF energy, but it is unlikely that the patient's temperature will increase by more than 1 degree centigrade. Now, direct adverse biological effects of MRI field are not believed to exist. Number of serious hazards are attributable to intense magnetic field necessary for the MRI. Although heating of the whole patient is not generally concerned, the potential exists for generation of heat within monitoring wire as a result of electromagnetic induction, circuit resonance or antenna effect. Then the thermal injury in the area of ECG electrodes and pulse oximeter probes has been reported. Recommendations for avoiding thermal injury include: keep monitoring wire straight, that is, avoid the loops. Avoid hanging conductors the patient at more than one location, and inspecting monitor wires before each use to avoid use of worn or frayed wires. The most significant risk posed in MRI suite is effect of magnet on ferrous objects, dislodgement and malfunction of implanted biological devices or other objects containing ferromagnetic material are also real possibilities. Such includes vascular clips, shunts, wire spiral endotracheal tubes, pacemakers, automated implantable cardioverter defibrillators, that is ICDs, mechanical heart valves, implanted biological pumps. The potential problem with cardiac pacemaker and ICDs include heating, the heating of leads by induced current, then inhibition of pacemaker output of rapid pacing, then switch malfunction, ICD malfunction, and malfunction of pacemaker can occur. Patient with such devices should not undergo MRI examination. Tattoo ink may contain high concentration of iron oxide. The burns at tattoo sites have been reported due to magnetic field of MRI. Intraocular ferromagnetic foreign bodies may migrate within the MRI field. MRI examination of the patients with suspected ferromagnetic ocular foreign bodies should not be undertaken. Death from torque of vascular clip within the MRI field has been reported. The clips with low ferromagnetic properties are safe in the MRI system with magnetic fields of 1.5 Tesla or less. The movements of the implanted ferromagnetic devices and local damage caused by heat generation within the lead system can occur. The iron containing atoms are brought into the vicinity of magnetic field of MRI machine. The typical objects include, these objects are scissors, pens, keys, gas cylinders. When such objects brought into vicinity of MRI scanner, intense magnetic field may attract them into the scanner before scanner bore at high velocity. Then ferromagnetic atoms must never be allowed in vicinity of the MRI magnet. The recommendations regarding MRI safety have been developed by American College of Radiology. These recommendations include development of formal policies. These policies include the MRI suite should be divided into 4 zones: zone 1, 2, 3 and 4. Zone 1 is public zone. It is with free access. Zone 2 is interface between public zone and MRI suite, where all movements by non-MRI personnel is supervised by MRI personnel. Zone 3 is the area with which introduction of ferromagnetic objects may form a hazard. Zone 2 should be separated from Zone 3 by physical restriction or locked doors. MRI personnel are responsible for controlling movement into Zone 3 by any person, and Zone 4 is a scanner room itself, which should be further separated from Zone 3 and clearly marked with the lighted sign. Then we will see about the anesthetic management for MRI. Patients' acceptance of MRI examination is generally high. Most adults and small babies, if they are recently fed and well wrapped, they can tolerate procedure without sedation or analgesia. Sedation analgesia may be required in older children and adults who cannot cooperate. Sedation or analgesia is usually administered by a radiologist and nurse in MRI suite. All patients receiving sedation or analgesia need supplemental oxygen and standard monitoring. It is necessary to protect patient's airway and control the ventilation. The MRI suite possesses several unique problems. Number one, limited patient's access. Then visibility, especially when patient must be placed head first on the magnet. Then second, absolute need to exclude ferromagnetic components. Then interference malfunction of monitoring equipments produced by changing magnetic field RF currents. The necessity to move the anesthetic and monitoring equipment when the examination has started to prevent degradation of magnetic field homogeneity. Then limited access to MRI suite for emergency personnel. Then several manufacturers make the MRI compatible anesthetic machines. Various breathing circuits have been used successfully in MRI suite. Because the patient's airway is not easily assessed during MRI scan, and because of patient's assessment and communications are limited by both magnet bore in which the patient is placed and the loud noise associated with the MRI scanning, deep sedation is not advisable. Patients requiring more than moderate sedation analgesia are probably most safely administered a general anesthetic with airway control by either endotracheal tube or LMA. Endotracheal tubes and LMA and their connections to the breathing circuit must contain no ferromagnetic material. Because the conventional zinc batteries are strongly ferromagnetic, if laryngoscope is needed in MRI suite, it should be plastic construction and equipped with the lithium batteries and aluminum spares. Most of the emergency situation in MRI scan room itself should be treated with basic life support techniques, while the patient is rapidly moved out of the scanner vicinity for the definitive treatment. Pulse oximetry should be used on all patients receiving sedation or analgesia or anesthesia with the probe placed as far from the scanning site as possible to limit the potential for the thermal injury. Non-invasive blood pressure monitoring should likewise be used in all anesthetized patients. Third, capnography should be performed in all applicable cases. Next, ECG monitoring in MRI scanner should probably be limited to the patients deemed to be at particular high risk, if it is used at all, with precautions taken to limit the potential for thermal injury. Hearing protection is mandatory for anesthesia providers if they remain in the scanner room. Critically ill patients, uncooperative patients, and children older than 3 years who may not respond favorably to chloral hydrate may best be managed with general anesthesia. LMA, either endotracheal tube or LMA and controlled ventilation. General anesthesia is induced in induction area adjacent to the MRI room after standard monitoring are placed and the airway is secured. Particular care is taken to ensure removal of ECG electrodes before transfer to scan room, as well as all other non-MRI compatible monitoring devices should be removed. Patient then transferred to adjacent scan room. Ventilation is resumed and function of airway devices is reassessed. Airway disconnection is typically limited to 15 to 30 seconds. Anesthesia can be maintained with volatile anesthetics or propofol. MRI compatible monitors are placed and examination is proceeded. At the end of the examination, patient is transferred back to the induction area and awakened there, where conventional monitoring may be resumed and conventional management of any untoward event can take place. At the point in examination, patient may be transferred on emergency basis to the induction area for management of emergency situation. After the emergence from the anesthesia, patient is transferred to an appropriate recovery room and monitored. When patients are discharged, when they are documented to have met conventional discharge criteria. Thank you.